Let's talk a little bit about the future. Augmented reality will transform the way we interact with our world. But regardless of what new devices and technologies come to market, AR will be nothing without amazing, interactive, and animated content enriching this new medium. It really is our responsibility at Adobe to ensure that your tools, the tools you're using, provide a bridge to tomorrow's mediums like AR. And we have a quick video about the potential of augmented reality and how it's already affecting our lives. Then, my colleague, our Chief Technology Officer, Abhay Parasnis, will come up to share our AR strategy and lead a demonstration of how it will affect what you can do in the future. Let's roll the video.
In my toes and in my shoulders, I've been shaking like I'm colder. In my head, in my eyes, feels like I'm never getting older. Got my heart on my sleeve, got the fire to set me free. I'm gon' show this town tonight, night.
Morning, folks. Great to be here. It's been an exciting morning with amazing new innovations across the entire Creative Cloud portfolio. But even as we innovate across all these products, Adobe has always been a company that has embraced new mediums. From print and PC to web and mobile, we have always looked around the corner and figured out what's the next creative medium. We truly believe that we are at a similar inflection point with augmented reality as the next breakthrough medium. As creatives, this medium for the first time will free you from the confines of the screen where the world around you literally becomes your canvas. And as brands reimagine their customer experiences, AR has the potential to be a true game changer. But building these experiences will require complete rethinking, new tools, new workflows, and new interaction models. So for the last couple of years, all of you in the creative community have been hearing about potential of these immersive platforms. But the reality is, today, most of this is out of your reach because these platforms require fundamentally different skill sets, from learning new development tools, to learning new languages, to new runtimes. Put another way, you all have been given this blank canvas, but really without any tools to paint with. So to truly democratize AR requires solving some really deep technical problems. On the authoring side, how do we enable you to leverage your skills with familiar design tools to author high-quality AR experiences? And then once authored, how do we enable you to deliver these experiences at scale and in real time anywhere on the planet? For AR to truly become the next big medium requires solving both these problems, authoring and delivery, within a single consistent platform. Earlier this summer, we announced Project Aero, our mission to democratize creation of immersive experiences. Our goal with Aero is simple but ambitious. It's to establish a new discipline for immersive design, blending the world of digital and physical, and to empower you to create high-quality AR experiences, all with the power and polish you expect from Adobe. So today, I'm excited to share more details on Project Aero and give you a first sneak peek of where we are going. First, we're going to bring all of the Adobe creative tools that you know and love, like Photoshop, Dimension, and every other tool into this new era by making them AR ready. This is going to be a big deal. Second, we are building new immersive design tools both for the PC and the mobile platform, enabling you to author AR experiences for the first time with drag and drop ease for the physical world. Third, we will have a set of intelligent cloud-based AR services. Think of this as the secret sauce. These are real-time content delivery services for an AR world where with just push of a single button, you can publish AR content anywhere on the planet. And with Sensei intelligence baked in, Aero is designed to deeply understand the physical world that surrounds us, with concepts like lighting, textures, motion, and spatial awareness baked right at its core. Now, we also recognize that we can't do this alone. So we have been working with a range of hardware and platform players in the space. And as you heard earlier this morning from Phil, we have partnered deeply with Apple, Pixar, and others to standardize the file formats like USDC, as well as interaction models between software and hardware to truly bring AR to life. This integrated approach of tools, services, and partnership with the ecosystem is critical to unlock the potential of AR, and it's something Adobe is uniquely positioned to deliver in the market. Now, as we go on this immersive journey, we have been working with key design leaders and thought leaders in the industry to ensure that we have the right feedback loop from customers and partners in shaping this new medium. One such company that we have been working closely with is Adidas, as they completely reimagined their brand and retail experience with AR. So to talk a little bit about it, please join me in welcoming to the stage Senior Director of Design Technology at Adidas, Simone Cesano. Good to have you. Simone, welcome to MAX.
Thank you. It's great to be here. You're a lot of people. It's great to be on this side after so many times in the audience. It's really
Great to have you here. So, Simone, I know everyone here in the audience knows Adidas is one of the most recognizable brands on the planet. And I know you and your team at Adidas is extremely passionate about digital design, but in particular, the potential of immersive. Would love to hear a little bit of your thoughts on this new medium.
Sure. Well, at Adidas, we're always looking for new and exciting ways to innovate, whether it's the design of our product, the technologies that we give our designers to create it, or the ways we engage with a consumer. And AR creates a new digital canvas that we can use to tell unique stories with incredible depth and still keep it intuitive for the consumer. Let me give you an example. Many of these shoes that we're making are actually built out of fibers that were recycled from bottles that we harvest from the ocean. And that's a deep and emotionally compelling story that we're now able to tell the consumer and have them experience in a new and exciting way. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. In fact, speaking of experiences, you know at Adobe, we're all about experience. So would love to hear, since especially we have actually one of your real showroom kind of retail locations here, how do you think AR will change the actual customer experience, and what's the customer benefit?
I think we're looking at three different things as we do this. First, as a brand, we put creativity at the core of what we do, and AR gives us a great way of having the work of our designers and everybody that's involved in the creative process shine through to the consumer. The second thing that happens is we are the creator brand, and we think of our consumers as creators too, and AR gives us the ability to invite them in the process, engage with them, and have them interact with the brand or the product in a completely new way. And in this way, it's a game changer. And then the last thing that I think is really important is the fact that as you move into AR, the channels through digital or physical retail start to meld together. And as a consumer, you don't see the difference as much, and you can create a continuity of experience that's unprecedented. This is why we've been working with you guys at Adobe from A1 of Project Aero, because the potential is endless.
That's great. In fact, that's great to hear. I know the Adobe team has actually been thrilled to partner with your team as well. So, and I'm actually excited to see what the teams have done together with your real-world showroom here.
I'm as excited as you are, and I'm really curious about what everybody has to say about the experiences that we have created together.
That's great. Thanks, Simone, for being on stage and for being a great partner on this
You're welcome.
journey.
That's great.
Thank you.
Ciao, Max.
So to now give you a taste of what's possible with Project Aero, please welcome Zorana G to the stage. Zorana?
Thanks, Abhay. Hi, everyone. Wow. Are you guys ready for the last one? Good. I am too. It's hard being back there and being the last one. But anyways, we're here, and I'm excited and thrilled and honored to be here to talk to you about how Adobe is bringing AR to everyday designers. So, traditionally, people associate AR with 3D, and that's why I want to start with an example that shows you how your everyday content that you work with every day can be brought into the immersive world. And so for that, I'm going to start with Photoshop. Photoshop on the iPad here that you saw Jenny demo earlier. I have this beautiful piece of artwork created by Dan Mumford, creative resident at Adobe. He's actually here at the show, so feel free to mob him. And it's pretty much done at this point, and it's looking really good. And at this point, I can output this to a variety of sources, right? Whether it's web, whether it's print, magazine ad, whatnot. And now I can consider immersive media as an output. This completely changes the world of design for me. It's a whole new outlook. As Abhay mentioned earlier, it's the next breakthrough medium for creative storytelling. So, because Photoshop is synced to the Creative Cloud, I can access this file anywhere. So let's jump into Project Aero. Project Aero is a new AR authoring tool where we're enabling designers to be able to create these immersive experiences. So before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the workspace. Here at the bottom, we have my assets, as well as the one I just brought in. We have the familiar plus button that allows me to bring in more content. Upper right, we have a preview button that allows me to preview my work. OK, let's bring in that Photoshop file. And that's simply just a matter of dragging that file out into this space, this physical space. This camera feed that I have here is showing me my digital canvas, right? My surrounding is my space. And now I have this awesome Photoshop file right here. This is really hard to do today. It's really hard to do in the past. This takes hours of coding, really, and just complicated design tools that frankly, designers just don't have, and they don't really need to have. So now I can just bring this in just like this, all your Photoshop content right here. However, this is a Photoshop file, so what does that mean? That means layers, right? So pay attention to the center of this file here. We're about to go on a journey, and it's going to be good. Notice now that essentially I've separated out and given a little depth to my layers. If I could roll this around, you can see that's all I'm doing here. And now right away, I can play around with parallax. I can look behind the walls and see what Dan has created here for me. Hi, puppy. Got a little puppy there. Puppies are the thing here. And now what I can do is actually I can walk through my Photoshop layers. By moving my camera into the space, you can see now I am actually walking in my Photoshop files. This is so cool. It's a completely, thank you. It is a completely new way of thinking about my layers. It's frankly more fun, actually. All right. However, we live in a 3D world, right? So what does that mean about bringing 3D content to augment the world? And with this, I want to talk about a workflow with Dimension, Adobe Dimension. You heard Terry way back then talk about it in an ever so brief 60 seconds. I know it's super mesmerizing, every second of it. But just to quickly recap, Dimension is a new tool that enables designers to work with 3D content easily. So let's see how we can use that in conjunction with Aero to create an augmented world. OK. Now I'm going to switch examples and talk about a very different example. And this is an example of our partnership that we had with Adidas' design team and how we work closely to really think about how we can reimagine the retail space, the retail experience. And here I have the actual shoes of a new model of the Adidas Ultra Boost model that we're working on that I got directly from the team. And what I ultimately want to do is create a 3D configurator of sorts for the consumer. So as the consumer goes to the retail store, they can pick up a shoe. A shoe doesn't even have to exist, actually. The shoe doesn't even have to be there. And I want to swipe through a bunch of variations and styles that the shoe has to offer. So let's do that in Dimension. Really easy to swap materials, add materials inside of Adobe Dimension. I have a couple set up already. Now it's simply a matter of accessing my CC files here and dragging in the very special defined approved colors that are used for this particular season. So let's go ahead and double click that and just very quickly change the materials. All syncing. Color is clearly very important for designers all across the board, and ensuring that we have consistency is really easy to do with CC files. Okay, I think I'm about done here. Now this is looking pretty good, and at this point, if I want to visualize this, I essentially need to go to the render step. But for now, let's go ahead and just open up this render preview. Gives me a quick couple passes of how that looks, and that looks awesome. However, I actually want to take this into the real world, right? That's what we're talking about here. And in fact, I want to take it all the way to the retail space. So let me do one quick thing here. Let's go ahead and just export this to Aero, and let's head over to the store. All right, so now we're taking that file, we're saving it to Creative Cloud, we're doing some magic there and getting it AR ready. Again, all the assets that you work with can be AR ready. So here we are in the store. You can see my camera feed. Again, my digital canvas is what I'm working with, right? And I want to be able to visualize that shoe here. I see where I need to place this. I'm going to first just go ahead and drag this out. All right. Let's get this guy positioned. And plop it right over here. Got one giant shoe. All right. So this shoe is now here, but look at the quality of the shoe. I mean, I actually did a test with my team earlier and said, like, which one's real? I added a bunch of fake shoes and real shoes, and they couldn't tell. This is amazing. The quality, the fidelity of the texture, the colors, the consistency that you get in the entire pipeline, that is unheard of until today. And we know that's what you expect, and that's what Project Aero gives. All right, let's go back to that 3D configurator, right? We wanted to talk about being able to create those variations. Well, that is simply just adding a behavior. And what a behavior is essentially a set of triggers and actions, very similar to what you saw Koi show earlier in XD. But now we're applying that in real life. So I'll click on this. There's my variations. Let's open up the behaviors panel. For this, I'm going to add a nice tap trigger. And then I'm going to say cycle through the variations. And now when I'm previewing the shoe, as a consumer, I can come through and just very easily tap on the shoe, and it's animating beautifully between the different models. Thank you. Super. In just a matter of minutes, I was actually able to take this, create variations of it, add rich behaviors in very simple drag and drop functions, all in this immersive world. Okay, but we want to do more, right? I want to actually utilize this physical space more. And for that, I want to add a different kind of behavior. I want to add what's called a proximity trigger. And this means that when a viewer gets close to the shoe or close to the object, it will trigger an animation. In this case, I wanted to trigger an animation that I created earlier. So let's go ahead and just do that quickly. Get rid of these. Now I'm going to say, let's add that proximity trigger, and I'm going to add this simple animation that I created. And now, as a viewer, when I come up to the shoe, let's get this positioned here. Now when I come up to the shoe, go into preview mode, and get near it, it will trigger the animation. And you can see it's nicely doing a procedural explosion there, breaking the parts apart, the shoes apart, and also giving me really great information that I feel I want to communicate as a designer. All your products now have a story to tell, and you can tell them through augmented reality. Look at it one more time. And you can see how you bring in all the different pieces here, the Photoshop file, the animation, the dimension file, the 3D file, et cetera, all coming together in this final piece. And there's one last piece that I want to add, and that is actually adding a poster board that I know that I need that belongs in the store. So for that, let's go ahead and just drop that. This is a great Adidas poster that was created. We know we want to just drop it right around there. Let's expand it. And again, you can see how everything kind of comes together with the shoe. You got the parallax, you got the depth, all immersive right here. None of it exists. You can't actually go and grab it. And of course, if you want to wrap this up, very similar to all our other applications, if you want to publish this experience to a client, whatnot, you can come over here and publish this, and then it generates a link. You can view it on any browser or through Creative Cloud. And that's it. And again, that is a great example showing you how you can use Project Aero to create these immersive experiences. I can't wait to see what you guys do with it next. Thank you.
Thank you, Zorana. A big shout out. Showing AR demos on stage is not easy. Great job. That's a pretty cool demo. Now, who knew after a couple of decades of being intimate with a PSD file that it had this whole new personality and dimension? Live PSDs are going to be the future. This is actually going to be an exciting journey that we are embarking on. And as a first step, today, we are really excited to announce early access release of Project Aero. You can go to adobe.com/Project Aero and sign up to be in this early release. I hope you're seeing some of the potential of what this new medium holds and what is the next breakthrough medium that we all can both as creators create with and as consumers experience the world around us in a different way. We look forward to going on this journey with you. It's going to be a fun one. Have a great Max.